So if they eliminate a magic find from gear, just smacked it on runes, eliminated any offense from runes, and just had resistance and magic find as the runes, and get magic find all off gear. Hello and welcome to this video. Now, magic find is pretty much killing build diversity in Path of Exile, and Path of Exile should pretty much get rid of magic find as is, but the core principle of ARPGs should have magic find as an option. Now, we'll get into why magic find is destroying Path of Exile and its build diversity at the moment, with a simple look at the ladder. Now, this is experience ladder. We can't specifically say which build is using what, but we can obviously surmise by the strongest skills and everything. Now, this Titan build, obviously an outlier amongst the Stormweavers, but if you will notice, the Stormweaver, Infernalist, Invoker, all that, even Gemling Legionnaire, that was hard, is the top in XP, because obviously the more XP you earn, you're not dying because you're doing damage. But that is not necessarily the whole story. Now, if we have a look at this is a Stormweaver build by a Twitch person. They got a couple of thousand followers and subscribers, all that on Twitch. They recently added this magic find aspect to the build because, as they put it, it's overpowered, and they felt forced to add a magic find component to their build plan in fear of people wouldn't go to their build if they didn't add it. Now, if we have a look at the core principle of magic find, we'll go all the way back to Diablo 2. We'll go Diablo 2 because that is still a huge game. Magic find is generally, in my opinion, once you get through doing all the stuff, doing all the campaign, you have a character, you've got the actual skills, abilities, and everything. You are adding magic find on top of it to accentuate a play style. Pretty much as it is now, in my opinion, magic find is taking over the actual builds. If I can't find stuff, then I don't want to play it. The Stormweaver is very strong. It's probably got a risk of getting nerfed at some point because it is strong, but it's not to the point where you can just go in and just annihilate the pinnacle bosses. The next one to get nerfed probably be the Warrior and Hammer of the Gods, but if they nerf that, Warrior wouldn't be worth playing, so they can't nerf it unless they figure out how to actually make the Warrior playable without Hammer of the Gods. Now, how should Path of Exile even look at the builds? I don't think they're actually going the way they should, or potentially even want to, because if we remember in the early access reveal, there is 1700 gems and build diversity. Yeah, there's not. Most of it is trash. The only reason you play a lot of the builds is because you want to, not because they're good. Early game, a lot of skills are trash. You can play them, you'll have trouble with them if you don't get gear, and pretty much if you don't use certain combinations, you will struggle to get through. And the campaign is long, so people are going to find the quickest, easiest, which means they're going to find a way to get through pretty much Stormweaver is going to be 60-70% people are going to look, okay, is Stormweaver interested to me? Obviously Sork into Stormweaver. Now, that's not build diversity. Build diversity, in my opinion, is every class has the meta skill. Beneath that, if you don't want to one-shot pinnacle bosses or even just like go bossing, you want to clear, you'll have 3 or 4 skills that you can use. Then below that, you then have a range of skills that you can use to change how you do it. Say bleed, say poison. They pretty much blew up electrocution for the way it was. The chaos builds are becoming strong because once you put the damage in, you can put the magic find. And pretty much the ones who aren't being able to do magic find can't do magic find because of the actual passive tree won't allow it, because you need a lot of defense on your gear or the tree or both. And if you go gear, defense, gear, attack, there's no room for magic find. Where the spellcasters and the minions and all that, you can put all your damage in your tree, and then your gear is just a layer of defense. You add the distance between you and the enemy, so all you have to do is dodge mechanics. You have to stay clear and just clear, just bam 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 bam, bam. You got like 120% magic find. Things are dropping all over the place. You're pumping in rares into your map as you go through, using the towers to add levels. On top of that, through the atlas, through the little tablets you get to empower your towers. Pretty much, if you do not go damage, and you go a balanced build, you are then handicapped. So, people are going to go all damage on tree, and then they're going to have magic find wherever they can, and then just put in some NG shield health. Armor is pretty much your armor, life, resistances, because you're probably in their face, so you can't put magic find. If you got magic find on, you're sacrificing something, and then that limits your ceiling where you can actually go. Now, how should they implement magic find is a interesting one. With the runes, the system they have involves runes. They should keep resistances on it. They should not have attack and just have magic find, but have the numbers lower and then have like unique runes that have the 30-40% magic find. So no gear has magic find or increased rarity, which is the actual stat, but no gear should be able to roll magic find. The runes should be the sole principle of where you find your magic find, and you have to run the way they implemented Sanctum and Ultimatum. You must run Sanctum for your magic find jewels that you can put on your tree. Runes coming out of Ultimatum that have magic find on them. It would make one Sanctum worth running, worth creating a character just to run Sanctum, just to get this magic find. It would be worth creating a character just to run Ultimatum, which means you can run a lot more content if you can run Ultimatum, because you're not trying to get hit, you're trying to pretty much tank. So if they eliminate a magic find from gear, just smacked it on runes, eliminated any offense from runes, and just had resistance and magic find as the runes, and get magic find all off gear, and just went, okay, your gear is to keep you alive or to do more damage. It is not to make your RNG better. I think that would be the best way they could actually implement Magic Find, and it would mean the runes would force you to play specific mechanics and actually target those mechanics, get better at those mechanics, and you would, depending on what that third one is that they add, they might add something else. Maybe that then is a crafting item that you can smack on as an extra implicit that adds Magic Find, or something that drops, you can put it in your tree and certain nodes around add 2% Magic Find per small node or whatever. Like that, I think, would be the way that you actually add Magic Find, and that would be end game sort of stuff, because the top tier would be dropping at the higher tiers of Sanctum, higher tiers of Ultimatum. The bosses would not drop anything. Making your maps drop a lot of pop up or a lot of rares would not drop Magic Find, so it would not be the best course to you unless you invested in those Magic Find runes. And then the corrupting the gear to get extra sockets, to get extra Magic Find. It would make trying to get to that end game and maximizing your character so you can just hit those bosses, hit the higher tier maps with full on character, with added Magic Find, and you're not sacrificing anything. All classes could do it. There would be no limitations except for what the community comes up with and how GGG does different leagues, different everything. And you could smack runes into low level gear, like leveling gear. I'll show you an example. We have the same creator has a unique run leveling gear. You could smack runes all into this. You could run the campaign with Magic Find, getting all those drops, and you'd run the campaign specifically on an alt character, smashing the content, getting those drops, which would be like end game plus, because you're creating your character specifically to smash content, dropping more content, more currency, more drops, more uniques. And you wouldn't be going, okay, do I want to stay alive or do I want Magic Find? If I do it, I can do T16s easy, but if I do Magic Find, I have to go down to like T10s, maybe even lower if I get have to sacrifice resistances. I might have to actually drop lower to like T8s, T9s. There should not be a sacrifice between Magic Find and gearing. Stick it on the runes, everything is sorted. That's my opinion. What do you think? Let me know, and I'll catch you next time. Goodbye.